and I wonder, as I read all the stories of other CEOs that have, done similar things, like it would be easy for me to, look back, on the last 8 years and say like, well, I stayed committed to our, had this plan or whatever. Like I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. Like I knew that I loved the product. I loved the people that we worked with, and I enjoyed doing what we do.
All right, emergency fully equipped podcast. That boy on the screen had a huge last couple of weeks. That's Sam Hahn, the L.A.B Golf. We'll call you founder, president. What's your official? Give me the official. I just call you Sam, but like what's?
I'm currently co-CEO.
Co-CEO. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I want to go back to. So I read My Golf Spy's article, and I just want to start it with this. You said something that I thought was very like grounded, and we're going to get into all the other stuff in a second, but I loved what you said. The quote was, "I accept that I might be a fool. In 2 years' time, there might be someone saying they were right all along, but I don't believe that in my bones." Okay, so this is the cool thing about everything that's happening around you and your company. And I think this is why your company works in the first place, is you are a very, very curious guy, and but you're also fully aware of what can happen, what's potential, but you're not, like I see that as somebody that's very, very emotionally attached to his consumers.
Oh, no question.
And I can see that. And I read some of the quotes about, how you went into the comments and we're kind of, sitting there just going, I know this is awesome for me, but what about my people? What about my supporters? And, to be honest, Sam, like not a lot of people are going to have that take, or they wouldn't say it publicly. So first off, where's your head at? Tell me where you're at. Where are you at right now?
Before the news got out, that the transaction had taken place, my head's still in a great place, but we're super stoked. I mean, this it's a crazy thing doing a deal like this. It takes a long time and an unbelievable amount of work that is totally separate from the work that we have to do every day, to get putters out the door. And so when it actually finished up, which was on July 15, it was the best part was to be able to get back to work. We've been kind of frozen into, on all kinds of different initiatives that we need to take in order to, get things moving. And once it closed, it's just been great to work and actually focus on putters again instead of, lawyers and transaction stuff and all that. And so, and then when the story went public, it was pretty jarring. It's kind of, watching all the comments and everything the last few days, it's kind of rounding back into like, okay, everybody settle down. But we're super scary. I had no idea people would be, that, frankly offended by the sale. And then didn't take much thinking to realize why. And like, and I totally understand the assumptions that people were making, because I made the same ones. Like when we thinking about doing a deal, I was pretty opposed to doing it with PE. Not any personal experience other than kind of the same stuff the folks on the internet, know about PE. And, all I'd say is like me being in that same position with the same understanding of private equity that I had, a year ago, versus now. We hear about the crappy ones. We hear about when it goes bad. We hear about when, somebody grabs a hold of a company just to strip its guts out and, pump up the margins as much as possible to then go pursue another transaction. And, we definitely met with a few of those type of folks. And it was really obvious that was the plan. The guys that we found in Catterton different, and like, what kind of crazy person would, like these people are professional investors. They've read every thread, every comment, every, all lab presence everywhere. And like our thing is our connection to our customers and how accessible we try to remain, and how stoked all of our customers are to, kind of be. It's like it almost functions like a co-op,
Sure.
of
Yeah.
customers and
I
everything,
feel that.
and so they know that, they know that the worst thing that could happen to their investment, is for them to start screwing with that. So that was never ever part of the plan, and quite the contrary. These guys specialize in premium brands and stuff, and if you look at their track record, like, they made the quality of the products better. They made, manufacturing easier. In some cases, they even brought prices down. I mean, good stuff. These are really, really, really good guys in the um, uh, who's handling our business within Catterton is, he's a philosophy major at Penn, and like, he's a man after my own heart. I mean, he gets it, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, they're good folks. So I'm stoked. I think one thing that I've realized is, like, as much as I like to just talk, and every time there's a blip in lab world or something exciting that happens, I can just talk about it, and people know where we're coming from, and this is different. I'm making the rounds, doing my best to let everybody know we're doing this eyes wide open, and of course we have, we're being vigilant about our new partners and all that, but this, we can't just talk about it. We have to show people. We have to show people that this was the right thing. And, like, I think a lot of people just don't get, like, and we were stuck. Like, we scaled so quickly, and you've seen it in businesses come and go, and the scaling,
Yeah.
and the scaling more often than a product not being viable is what ultimately kills businesses and prevents them from reaching the heights that they could, because
Right.
it's we've got this, this crew in Eugene that's done unbelievable things to get us where we are, and, like,
Well,
in the sequencing of our,
it's a miracle. I mean, what you guys
yeah,
have, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, just to be frank, like, what you guys have achieved since 2018, and you guys started this whole thing, in the golf industry, it's a unicorn miracle, anything you want to attach to it. And I think what people maybe in the public that aren't in the business really wouldn't understand is that there is a point of diminishing returns, right? There's a point where growth hits a ceiling, and if people want product faster, and the demand basically outreaches your ability to actually, spit putters out at a quality time frame, that's going to make you go backwards, right? So,
oh,
a
100%,
decision, yeah, for every founder, there's a decision like, I need to scale, but where some people make the mistake is they scale right away because they see money and it's the first money in. Okay, let's just do it. Let's
right,
blow this up. You guys, from what I've read, and I haven't talked to you about this, but it sounds like you kind of, the I guess the blessing you guys had is you had multiple options who
right,
to scale with, and I think who you scale with is more important than your ability to scale. Like, it's
for sure.
yeah. So
Yeah, there's
I'll
a
shut
million
up and
different
keep
ways to
going.
scale, right? I mean, yes,
Right.
the assumption that unfortunately a bunch of people are making is like, oh, well, they're just going to ship production to, China, and screw
Sure.
quality, volume, 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 and that's not the plan at all. So yes, the plan is everything. How we're going to keep this company on the up and up, and still maintain all of our values, and treat our customers the same way, as that's the trick. And what was frustrating to me is, like, it's not that tricky. Like, we need cash, we need support, we need talent, there's no question.
Right.
um, but as far as, like, how you do it, you keep doing what we're doing. It's working, like,
Yeah. You just do it at a bigger scale. You just do it at a larger
yeah,
scale. Yeah.
and in a few more locations, and and yeah, and these guys get it, and it's I'm stoked. It is going to be an awesome few years here.
So, the biggest changes that I would see, probably that the consumer will probably feel going forward, say we'll call it the next year,
Hmm.
would be more accessibility to the product. They'll be able to get it faster and a little bit easier, I would imagine. Which is, just stop me if any of this is incorrect. Second thing is is your ability, the co-CEO and the rest of your core team, the ability to kind of focus on the future. And now you have support to bring people in to run the day to day, help with that, which all is part and parcel to this thing actually scaling correctly. I've what I've seen from you, which is very rare in any business, is you're not only the co-CEO, so you're running the business and you're running the day-to-day, but I also see you on tour. I also see you hustling. I see you having interviews like this. I know that you're behind the social media account. Like, there's all these things that you do that, one, is because of how passionate you are about it. I've had millions of conversations with you, and I know I can see it in your eyes. It's why you and I get along so well. But I think what people will see, and I think they'll be pleasantly surprised, is when you go with an investment like this, what it's going to buy Sam and the rest of your core team is time, which is you can't replace time, right? So
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly right. And yeah, what we've done to date is like just absolutely max ourselves out, our abilities, our time, our everything, until it's just too much, and then we hire somebody, into spreading some of the work out, and finding an expert in a particular field to take that which we might not be, perfect at, sort of off of our plates. And we're going to do that again. I mean, all of us have been, chief cook and bottle washer for,
sure,
since the beginning. And,
right.
We all kind of do everything. And now we're in a position where we're going to get some proper talent in here. Yes, the time thing is going to be absolutely huge. And partially because of what you said, like every company has its own, its own personality, its own functionality. And like, I'm certainly a different kind of CEO. And that was,
sure.
that was hard for Catterton too, like I'm, balance sheets and planning in general, not my strong suit. I've generally run lab with a fucking figure it out kind of mentality. And
yeah, man, I love that's why I root for you guys so hard.
and it'll still be much that way, but just with the a lot more folks in place for the figure it out part of that. And
right.
yes, we got a lot more time. We'll have a lot more talent. We were getting to a place where we were having to make a lot of either or decisions,
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we don't have to, make those hard decisions. We can kind of go do it all. Earlier in your question, what you're saying is, the first 6 months really are going to be mostly entirely about infrastructure and just getting, manufacturing and lead times back on planet Earth. It's gotten pretty out of control. And, so, more talent in there. We were already in process making some manufacturing changes. Like one of the things we see in the comments section is like, oh, they're going to be shipping them overseas. And we've already been producing it in Mexico for about 5 or 6 months now.
Right.
The stock production is a little easier than making a custom putter, but not much. And so it's that was where we saw, with all the interest at retail, we want to make sure that all the custom stuff stays in Crestwell, so we've got our eyes and hands on it. The custom putters are a little easier, and thus, we've got the opportunity to get some outside manufacturing help. We found these badasses in Mexico. It's like 25 minutes across the border. That's like,
there's good facilities down there. I mean, it's like, I mean, there's actually a lot of club companies that make stuff down there, and
a ton of them. And this guy who we're working with, he built us a building, and it's like, I don't know if you'll ever get the chance to get to Crestwell and see it, but like, we like shoehorned ourselves into an old health facility, like a health club. It's this like messed up old building and everything. And then like you go see the facility in Mexico, and it's like this state of the art thing. And they've got a very specific lab team that's like thumbprint entry, into this like white room, it looks like a clean room making chips and stuff. And it's incredible. And we're learning from them. I mean, these people are just such pros. And so we'll be doing some, production is amazing. All those putters, that are coming from back to our shop before they go out. For final QC and all that. And then yeah, we got to expand globally. The
Right.
States are upset, about taking 12 weeks to get a putter, and some of the customer service things. I want to change this, I want to change that. Like, imagine trying to order thing from Korea or Thailand or something like that. We have a demand over there, and like it's an unreasonable wait time. The ability to serve that customer is not up to the standards. They're not experienced ordering a lab putter that somebody in the U.S. or Canada is, and and that's got to change. It's got to get out there. So we'll be the working plan is basically to make another Cresswell in Tokyo, and
Oh,
another
nice.
one
Okay.
and then another one in Europe, in the UK, is what we're working on, and and then kind of got a few corners of the globe worked out, and I'm really excited about that because that's my sweet spot, is building companies, and basically these are going to be mini startups,
Yeah, mini silos. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And finding the right folks and the right team and the right passion and the right marketing ideals. And I'm excited to learn too, because I know it's different. Like, my shtick online and stuff doesn't necessarily work in Korea. And finding somebody who gets what does work in Korea with the same, style of, yeah, the same.
Yeah, same freedom, same
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I
exactly.
get it. I want to go back to the process a little bit here. So I guess the first question I'll ask is, when did you guys realize, at what point, months ago or whenever, did you realize that you needed to start take on a partner? Like, this is not enough. Was there like a day where you're sitting there like in your office and you're just like, okay, man, this is fun. I mean, you guys did 130,000 putters or something like that last year. I mean, that is an insane amount of putters for the size of your company. So like, at what
Totally.
point were you sitting there just going, dude, I need help? Like, come on, we gotta do
So,
something.
if I'm honest, like the initial interest in a transaction was not about scaling. It was about taking some chips off the table. The original conversation started about 2 years ago,
Okay.
um, and the idea was, yeah, we were going to pursue a minority transaction, like a 40 to 49% something, just to take some cash off the table. And we'd been at it at the time, 6 years, and had some very patient investors. Every dollar we made just went right back into the company. So it was not like we were,
Right. Nobody's
in,
getting rich. Yeah.
yeah, there was nothing like that. And so, yeah, we started talking about doing some kind of deal. And at the time, thinking maybe a strategic, but more likely, some high net worth individuals, things like that. And then last year was crazy. And so kind of
Right.
in time, the idea of, taking on a partner and everything, and the goals associated with, some kind of deal were changing in real time. And
Is that, sorry to interrupt you, Sam.
yeah,
So being out on tour, basically from, because I knew about you guys when you started, right? Like
yeah,
when I was at WRX, and then I didn't really see, because you can notice that on tour and with putters and wedges specifically, there's a direct correlation between tour presence and market, right? You guys kind of did it in reverse. Like, I think the retail or the consumer informed the tour, and then the tour started to
absolutely.
get curious, which is rare, because I think the only other company that started that way was like Odyssey back in the day, right? Like, that's
Right.
kind of how that kind of went. But I noticed it. I want to say spring summer of 2023, I think, is when I started to see like a lot of lab putters. The counts went from like two putters to like six, and all of a sudden there's like nine. And then you had
Yeah.
a lot of the non-staff play. Everybody's on the green testing. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Are
that's
my
about
spidey
right.
senses
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we, and yeah, what you noticed is accurate. So like back in 2019, um, here, um, Adam Scott was using the original directed force, the big one, in a conventional
Yep.
form. It wasn't a long putter. And, people took notice, and we started getting some calls, and he was leading the Masters through 2 days, with that putter in 2019. and like the phone's ringing off the hook and everything's getting all crazy. And then he had a poor weekend, and the phone stopped ringing. And it was at that
point. That's funny how that works.
It was just so quick. I mean, and I was like,
thanks,
oh,
Adam
okay.
Scott.
So,
yeah. Thanks, dude.
Well, I mean, it put us on the map in a way that we, that was kind of when the relationship with Superstore started and all that. But we realized we're going to be idiots if we just sit there and rely on the tourist product. And,
right.
And I've been out there now, 6 years, and I know, half a dozen companies that spend virtually their entire budget just sending somebody around to be at every tour event in the hopes that they catch lightning in a bottle. Like, that's the strategy, and you just can't do it. I mean, you just can't.
No, it's impossible.
And so that was kind of when we, really, our guy Zach pretty well. Mm-hmm. That was when Zach and I really honed in on making sure that we made our marketing message about the customer, because that's who's buying the putter. The tour players aren't buying putters. It's you and me at home, and and then to your point, 22, even 21, we were getting calls from tour players of, like, I just got my ass kicked in my own home club by some Joe Blow handicap who's a putter. I'd like to try it. It wasn't happening out on tour. It wasn't happening on the back. It was happening organically at home in the off season, like for November, December 22 and November, December 23. The number of tour players that were reaching out in the off season because they were at home, with some of these folks, was wild. I think it's served us very well, that sort of reversal in normal, protocol of getting a product into people's hands.
Well, that's probably why the response was so, most of the response was positive. I mean, everybody wanted to see, you guys blow up, essentially, even though you already kind of did on your own. The money's the money. But I think a lot of it was that personal connection that you had to your consumers, because it started with the consumer, right? Like,
for sure.
The other question that I have to ask, like, during this process, did any of the OEMs try to buy you guys at any point? Was there ever a conversation?
Not really.
Not really. Maybe some sniffs, but nothing awesome.
Yeah, just a little sniffing, exactly. Some very, very light conversations. I mean, I think that I naively assumed that was what this was going to be. Like when I started in
which anybody would, yeah,
right. And like I didn't know the golf business at all, and I just knew the experience that I'd had with the putter, and so I just assumed we were going to walk out on tour and Tiger Woods would grab the putter and,
Taylor made it by you and Bob's your uncle.
Hey, here's a check and be on your merry way. And then once I started to learn how it all went, I still had hope there for a few years, kind of between 19 and 21, maybe. But then we were too big. Like,
right.
A lot of people don't realize, like, so a lot of these acquisitions that happens where a big company buys up one of the smaller ones, Odyssey notwithstanding, like, they're small transactions, they're $5, $6, $7, $8 million. They'll take a risk on some IP that they think they can plug into their product and have it work. It's not, it's generally not 8-9 figure transactions.
No, they're more licensing deals than anything. It's almost like
totally.
They're licensing your, I mean, and it's funny, like you and I spoke right when I took this job, and that was when, I'm not going to say it, but like that was when all the imitation stuff started coming out, right? And there's and I don't know if I told this to you. I told this to somebody. I think I told this to you. My thing was, and you start to see a lot of quote unquote zero torque stuff hitting, and they're all over the place now. My assumption was that it was only going to help you, right? Like that was only going to drive, because you were the first dog to the bowl, because it was, I don't want to say it was your idea, but you guys were the first ones to be successful with that platform. And I think also you guys did something that I haven't seen very often. So if you take the DF3, that big dog, right? The big circular alien looking thing. It's funny even now, because it's not a conventional putter, And because it doesn't have the optics of like a Scotty Cameron or like a really pretty Odyssey or a Toulon or any of these things, I think again, because of how you think, I think it almost helped you because you basically eliminated optics from performance. You separated the two and go, I don't care what it looks like as long as the ball goes in the hole. And the other nice thing that you did, which was, I don't know if this was by design, but now as you guys come out with more conventional mallets and you guys come out with some new designs, they look even sexier now because the hero putter is this, and then you have all these little stepchildren over here that are like perfect looking little children over here. It's been really fun to watch because I'll truth be told, when I first saw your putters, I remember somebody sent me a picture like right when you guys started, and I was like, "What the fuck is that thing? Like, what are we doing here?"
That's what I said when I first.
Yeah, I was like, "What are we doing here?" So I guess my question is, and I'll get to this now with the new resources, and obviously R&D is going to be part of this investment, I assume, and having some more time to
Huge.
dig
Yeah.
into some shapes and some different ideas. Do you see this in 3 or 4 years going to the point where you're making, I don't want to call them conventional putters, but like the L.A.B version of a heel shafted putter, or something more conventional? Or are you guys going to stick to your core principles of the torque story, and where do you see that going?
There's no question, but that we're going to stick to the torque story, whatever evolution that takes. There's
Sure.
certainly any number of choose your own adventures within, sort of that technology and the starting place of where we're at. As far as shapes and stuff, like the cool thing about us that I think a lot of people don't necessarily note is like we are a putter company. We are a putters only company. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so like it's not like, okay, we need to put out one, maybe two heads just to make sure we stay in the product cycle with
Try
every
to capture
to
that
make sure
market.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's just entirely about designing putters of all kinds. So yeah, I mean from a visual standpoint, we will be doing both. Like we will be
Nice.
weird space age putters, and we will be continuing to make cool looking putters because the hope for us is that like the optics of the putter and the way that it sits down and everything isn't a deterrent for anyone. We want to have
Not anymore. That's
and even
like
and,
Bob
well, I mean, even
Parsons.
even still, like we've got plenty of people that won't look at a center shafted putter that just say they can't do it, and or
Well,
that
I
can't the
couldn't
shaft length.
like I couldn't do it. I called you. I'm like, I'm having a hard time with the center shafted thing. I mean, I really was. And somebody in the comments said something about disruption, like, oh, lab golf's so disruptive. And I'm like, you know what? They're not. And I tell you why they're not. Like, disruptive would be coming into the marketplace and just pounding your chest and being like, you guys all suck and we're the best. And you guys didn't do that. Like, I would say this is like the ultimate founder story in golf. Like it's the it's kind of the Apple, it's the all these companies, Spotify. It's funny, I was thinking about you, and this is odd that this happened the night before I found out that you guys sold. I was watching Gold with Matthew McConaughey. Have you ever seen that movie?
Uh-uh.
It's on Netflix. It's about a guy. It's based on a story from a guy in Canada, but guy father was a gold miner, big company, handed the company to his son. And Matthew McConaughey's kind of like this swashbuckling, like alcoholic kind of, gold digger. But at his core, he kind of had this belief system that he was going to strike gold at some point, come hell or high water. He was going to find it. He knew he was right. And literally, I watched that movie, and you kind of get inspired watching these movies about creating something or having so much passion for something that you're going to find what you're looking for. And literally the next day, I found that you guys sold, and I thought of you, and I'm like, do you know what? Like, Sam's a little bit, not exactly, because you'll watch the movie and be like, that's not me at all. But like the spirit of what he was doing was very in the essence of kind of what you guys have pulled off, which is, I just know, I kind of believe that this is going to happen, and I'm not going to stop until it does.
I think it's funny. I read like I follow like different business accounts on Instagram and whatever, and I've read a handful of books on guys that have pulled off crazy stuff, and like yes, I believed in our product. There's no question. That the conversation in my mind was never like, I believe in this and it's gonna happen, and we're gonna strike because I believe. It's just not like that. Like it's just I made a crazy decision to, to get in the putter business. And sure, yes, I at that, at the time, yeah, I thought it was going to be like a 2-year thing, that I'd have the opportunity to flip it to some OEM, and that was that. And then what I was completely unprepared for, certainly didn't plan, was what Lab became and the culture that came with it, and the team that came with it, and all of a sudden, like, we're this big family, and all of us crazy passionate golfers, and crazy passionate about what we do. And then we didn't want to sell to an OEM, and we didn't, we wanted to just keep doing what we were doing, but not like with this, like,
blind faith.
not with the intention of like, okay, we're doing all this, to get the thing. And I wonder, as I read all the stories of other CEOs that have, you know, done similar things, like, it would be easy for me to, look back, on the last 8 years and say, like, well, I stayed committed to our, had this plan or whatever. Like, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. Like, I knew that I loved the product, I loved the people that we worked with, and I enjoyed doing what we do. And then, so you wake up each morning and you love what you do. You get to the office, invariably there's, 3 or 4 fires you got to put out. You figure out how to put out the fire, you learn in the process of putting out those fires and solving problems. And then, you just kind of go along, and it didn't go how it goes. And in our case, like, I realize how rare this is. Like, I mean, this just
Oh my
doesn't
God.
it doesn't ever happen. And that's why it's such a story, right? Is that we've certainly seen movies about it happening. We've read books about
Yeah.
it happening. The reason there's a movie or a book is because of how rare it is. So we're
Right.
incredible. Like, now looking, we've been, in the weeds on all the deal stuff for the last year, and like coming out of it now. Yeah, it's insane. It's absurd. It's crazy to think, we were the haystack that made it work. And I'm so proud, and everybody in Cresswell is so proud. Like, that's what's exciting and different, about Lab when you come visit us, is like, I mean, you've seen it. Like, there's a lot of incredible people in the golf industry, and
Yeah.
folks, incredible designers and stuff. But like, a lot of the major companies, the 4, 5, 6, big companies that basically, have 95% of the market share in all the categories. Like, it's a business, and they in many sections of those little businesses have people whose job is to show up and do a very specific job and go home.
Right.
And we're really lucky that we're young, just like, companies have a life not unlike you and I. Like, I mean, we were 22. I'm sure we had like some much bigger ideas about, who
Oh
we
my
were
God. Yeah.
in the world, and we were, passionate and excited, and, all
I
these
was supposed
things.
to be
And then
retired from playing center field for the Mariners by this point. By
exactly,
this point,
I,
like
I was supposed to be accepting my 4th Grammy, and
yeah.
and um, there's so much magic in those, sort of, when you're like naively passionate, and the and
Sure.
the life of a company is no different. We're a young company, and we're still naively passionate. And by the way, sometimes when you're young and you're passionate, cool things do happen. You don't always find out, like, oh, that was just a pipe dream. And
But isn't it funny though, Sam? And I can attribute this to my own career, like, because I started in 2018 too, and I came from the film business, right? And I didn't know anybody in the golf industry. It's literally March 1st of 2018 is my first day with WRX. And I got into the business and I had a plan. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted to do. And some people would say, like, oh, you're being naive. That's not really how it works. But I feel like being naive is such a, like, I guess that word as it attributes to, I guess, people like maybe you or I or whatever, but like I don't think it's naivete. I think it's just, like you kind of said, fuck around and find out. Like, that's kind of like, it's kind of like what it is. I think the naivete is just the ability to just go with just, irregardless of what the patterns will tell you about what typically happens to a human being when they get into these
exactly,
situations. You kind of just don't care. Maybe it's more stupidity than it is naivete. It's like, I don't care. I'm gonna, I might fall on my face, but whatever. And I've found in my life that the people that just go and figure it out as you go tend to succeed, especially if you're good at what you do.
Yeah,
You just kind of it just kind of happens that way. So I don't want to take up your whole day. I have a few more questions.
sure.
So you guys go from, startup, and I believe last time I checked, I think you guys had 18 or 19% of the market share or something like that, which is a crazy. I think correct me if I'm wrong. It was up
The,
there.
I don't know where we're at right now. It goes up and down with different launches and different stuff. I think the moment that everybody freaked out was the March Golf Data Tech report that had us some absurd market share, dollar market share. Obviously, our
Right.
products are more expensive, so the unit market share is not quite as high, but we're typically on most of those reports fourth or fifth in the world at this point. And what's really exciting is that's just in the States, and
Right. That's not worldwide. You guys haven't even touched that yet, really,
we
at
haven't even
full
touched it. Yeah, so
mass.
I mean,
Right.
it's exciting, but like, uh, but again, I really don't mean to sound cheesy and whatever. Like, that isn't the goal. I mean, like those market share reports like that in March, it was a high fivey moment just because it was surreal, like the first
Right.
we'd ever seen, if somebody, showing us that stuff, we were in the like 0.05% of other, like a year
Right.
prior.
You're
And
like on a movie script. You're like cop number 4.
totally, exactly. Like it just,
Yeah.
it was absolutely so it was surreal, but that's not a driver. And this is an easy thing for us, while those of us who got us to where we are the ones still involved.
Right.
Is that we have the real world. We've learned that if we just keep our heads down and make badass product and take care of our customers, all that shit's just taking care of itself.
Well, you also know what it's like to succeed, right? Because there's a lesson in being successful. From the market standpoint, what happens if all of a sudden, like you've seen it, the whole market's seen it. You guys come out with a putter, all of a sudden everybody's got the reason why TaylorMade Callaway, everybody's got a center shafted torque putters because of you guys. It's not like it wasn't an idea that was getting kicked around. It literally all happened in the last 2.5, 3 years. So at any given point, when you guys started to see the market share rises, it is just, you have to be honest with me, was a little bit of you, was a little bit of you, like, you in your inner core, kind of like that's fucking right, like you guys can't keep me down. There had to be a
Um,
little, that's where my head went. I'm like, you're not gonna, I can play ball
no,
too.
no. I mean,
Oh, okay.
honestly, I think so. Uh, so the other co-CEO is a guy named Robert Johnson, and Robert's been with
That's
he's
who it
been
is. Okay, I didn't know his name.
yeah and he's been in the golf business forever. He was with TaylorMade for a long time. He did stuff with Adams and a handful of other companies, um and because he's been in the industry, and he really knows about those reports and how that stuff works and what that means and what it means for R&D department to have to pivot away from whatever they were working on to go
Oh
catch
my
us.
God.
It's a big deal. And he was like, you have no idea. This is a big, big deal. For
It's
me,
a
when
big
it,
deal.
when,
Yeah.
when the copies and everything started coming out, I was mortified, like I was and sad and frustrated, like all these folks certainly had the opportunity to license the tech and do this, what I would say ethically, and
Right.
ultimately with us, they'd have made better products, rather than just trying to reverse engineer and, you know, cut corners to manufacture the way that they manufacture. But, for 3 or 4 months, I was really, really scared because um, it didn't seem, it just didn't seem right to me that
Yeah,
it
I
would go
get
like
it.
and so I was sad and I was frustrated while RJ was like, no, 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 dude, this is badass. And
Yeah, that's for my, see, I'm with RJ. That's for
yeah,
my head win, because what you've done, because if you're going to relate this back to the golfer, so is there a world where everybody buys lab putters and that's the only putter they buy? No, that's
yeah,
obscene. But
right,
what you've done for the golfers, you've given them, with lab being the top dog in that space, you're the Nike in that space. Every company now has, for your Callaway fans and your TaylorMade fans and your Scotty, because there are going to be allegiances to companies, but you've given them all that idea. to potentially help that golfer out. And, everybody's making, I've tried a lot of these zero torque putters and they're all very, very good. I'm not a big best guy. This is the best one. I just, there's
Right.
options now in the
For
marketplace, and
sure.
you guys created a market. And whether or not, do I think it hurts you guys? No, I don't. I don't think it
Oh,
hurts
and
you
I
guys. I
mean, and
think it only
that was where my attitude shifted on it, was like, once, so the Allen came out, the PXG came out last fall. I think that the Square to Square released in March. And yeah, and then what we like, I think part of what I was afraid of as the copies were coming out was like the people not understanding the technology correctly, not understanding. I don't know. I was upset that the companies had control of the story, and then what we found out was all it did was shift the attention to us. Like all the big companies effectively validated what we've been doing. So if you were a guy at your country club and you kind of heard about L.A.B and maybe kind of annoyed about how much people are talking about it and whatever, and then all of a sudden you see a Callaway or a TaylorMade or a PXG or whoever come out with their own version, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, so this thing was not snake oil. This is not an infomercial product. This is a real product. It validated us, and our business is been the competition has been the single biggest accelerator of our business, of anything, more than Lucas Glover.
100%. And it's because it started with the consumer. You said something really interesting. So they all kind of turned back to us to look at us when they saw these other parts. That's because it's a consumer driven product, first and
Right.
foremost. It didn't start with a big company. It didn't start with one of the big five. It started, small with the consumer. That's the biggest compliment from the marketplace to you guys, is when they see these putters, they're like, okay, well, let's look at L.A.B really quick, because that's where it started and everybody knows that's where it started. So that to me is like, that's why this whole thing works, at a granular level, because of where it started and because of how it's growing. And I have two more questions and I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
I have to ask this, but the sale price, whatever, call it $200 million. You said something in the My Golf Spy article, which was very, very well done. You said that you don't have to worry about money anymore, and all this stuff. But like, when it comes to an amount of money that much, I know you, but just for everybody else here, I told my girl, we were sitting here and talking in the kitchen. I'm like, you just sold your putter company for this much money. Like, the nice thing about it is that this guy ain't going to change. Like, this money ain't going to change him one bit. Actually, I was talking to my producer. That's what I was telling that to before you hopped on. I was like, the nice thing about Sam is, if I saw Sam and he just got his bag, in 5 years, he's still going to be the same Sam. Like, this guy doesn't, like, he's not motivated by cash. Like, this guy
No,
kind
I'm
of like,
not.
he's just not that
Um,
guy.
I'm not. And like, and to be clear, like, it's not because I'm, altruistic. L.A.B ain't a charity, like it's, I don't have much of a concept of money. I'm just not, yeah, I don't get it. I do know, I think in like big things, like, okay, so when I say that this is life changing, like I can, no problem paying for my kids to go to college, pay off the house, you know,
Right.
write some thank you checks, and like there is a baseline of stability. To be clear, I did
Right.
not own most of the company.
Well, it gives you the ability to not waste time, is what I've always said. When you get a big chunk of money, is it you
oh
can
yes,
really
the
sit back
conveniences that
and,
come along with it are incredible, and the
yeah.
anxiety. I am sadly a pretty um I I'm driven, not driven by is the wrong word to say it, but like I have a lot of fear and I have a lot of anxiety all the time. I'm a very anxious person, and
No.
and the this round, like took away a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear of, will it all fall
Nice.
apart? Like I don't have to worry about it all falling apart anymore.
Nice,
um
dude.
and what that
Yeah.
would mean for, and so that's really good. But also worth noting, like I put a huge amount of the proceeds that I got from this back into the company. I'm still
Okay.
invested in the company, and with my own dollars, not with equity that I was given. And so yeah, it's great, and what a nice compliment. Thank you to think that I would change. I was thinking about recreating. Everybody's calling me a sellout and everything, and I was gonna. Do you remember? Do you remember in Wayne's World, when they did about selling out, and Garth like got
Yeah.
logos all over? I was going to do that.
I was like, Sam's not the guy to show up like in a year with like a full Zuckerberg with like gold chains, and all of a sudden you're in the Muay Thai and like on a
No,
private
no,
jet.
no, no,
Like
no,
he's
no.
not that
There was some
guy.
funny people made some funny memes with like one of them was like me on a boat, friggin' hate boats, and another one was me and like next to like some Lamborghini or something. I'm like, I don't like Lamborghinis. They don't get room for golf clubs.
No, but like to the anxiety thing, that makes me feel good for you, Sammy boy. Like that's this is cool. Like this is like I feel really good. I mean, this has been it's been fun to watch all of you, not just you, but all of you. And that goes for, for Joey and Liam and everybody out on tour that works so hard out there, and your group over there in Oregon. And what you've done is very, very hard to do. Make no mistake. So for anybody out there that, like I have a putter idea, go pull a Sam Hahn. Like that's not, it's very, very hard. I'm not trying to discourage you, but what you've pulled off is literally threading the needle of the needle of the needle. Like it's
Totally. I
impossible.
mean, I've said it's been, I've had a lot of people reach out, certainly over the years, and then definitely these last couple of weeks of like, hey, I've got this thing, I've got this idea. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
The sad
Left-handed
part
only
is,
putters. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so beat up, from this whole transaction, just from the whole experience in general. Incredibly rewarding. I'm super proud, amazing. It's also like definitely taken 10 years off of my life, and
Sure. Supposed to. Yeah.
all this stuff. So like people are calling like, what do you think? You think I should do this thing? And like, I'm like,
I
no.
don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Go have a donut, man. Yeah. I gotta give a shout out to Zach Sikowski too. He was pretty instrumental in this about building the brand, and I've known Zach since his WRX days. He's a very savvy guy, and I gotta say from a PR marketing standpoint, that boy's done a really, really nice job with your
Zach
brand. And
Zach Kuzahusky is on a very short list of people that I can say without a shadow of a doubt, there is no way that Lab is where it is without Zach. And I
yeah,
really
he's very,
appreciate
very
calling him out. He and his partner Kane, with Rooted Solutions. So for those listening, like they're
like a PR company,
at least
PR
for us, they
marketing
were kind of a
company.
one-stop shop. They handled our website, they handled all of our PR, they handled our marketing messaging, our social, all that stuff. And Zach and I built this business together, and I think there was a lot of magic to the fact that he was building his business at the same time that like we were doing this together. He had his own little agency that he'd started out. I had this little putter company, and together we were nervous together. We were brave together, and we thought outside the box, and meeting him was just an absolute gift, and I'm really excited. He's agreed to stay on in a bigger marketing role within the company, just to secure that sort of the Lab ethos, stays in our
Right.
messaging. We continue to grow, and I get busy with some other stuff.
Yeah,
Zach,
he's fantastic. I'm
absolute
I'm
man.
I'm very, very proud of what that kid did. Like he did a great. I mean, because I could see it when I left. When I was at WRX, he was building his business. And
Yeah,
and just to kind of follow it along. And he's always been very supportive of all the decisions I've made in my career. When I left WRX, went to Callaway, he was like one of the first people to call me and say, "Hey, way to go!" But I know marketing pretty well, and I'm kind of watch what he does and how he handles everything. He's very smart, he's very savvy, and as it relates to your brand, the messaging is always on point. He always knows how to translate that to media. Make sure everybody has what they need. Make sure you're talking to the right people. Like he's very, very good at that job. So I wanted to give him a shout out because I know how hard he works on your brand. So, um, all right, last question I have, then I'm going to let you go. Um, Actually, I have 1.5 questions. Last question, just really give me a number. How many different PE firms were there? Just give me a number.
oof. Probably that actually visited the factory somewhere between 7 to 10. That did the site visit that we spent 2 days with, and then calls and kind of initial meet and greet meetings, probably another dozen. Beyond
Did you
that,
guys
plus
did you guys get it? Did you
other
guys get
types
a
of vendors.
headhunter? Did you guys hire a headhunter, or they come to you guys?
A little of both. So we did work with an investment banker this last year. Prior, Not so much. We were just kind of fielding phone calls ourselves. RJ had some know-how in the transaction space, so we were taking on some of it ourselves. But yeah, we had an investment banker helped us, sort through a bunch of it. And but yeah, I mean, there was another, gosh, 2 dozen smaller conversations with firms that it was very clear were not the right fit.
Right. Right. All right. Last question. What putter is in Sam Hahn's bag?
A prototype that you won't see for a year that I'm really stoked about.
Is it is it
I
is
use
it
them
is
all.
it platinum plated?
It's totally. we're all playing now.
That'd be so awesome, Sam.
Dude, I
If all
actually,
of
I
a
actually,
sudden,
I hooked up with a dude on Instagram that wants to basically like bedazzle, but with actual diamonds, a putter for us.
that'd be
And
so rad though. If, if
oh,
if you have no signs of wealth and you show up to a putting green with like a
but there'll be
platinum
signs. There'll
loud.
be signs. um, no,
Oh, it's so funny.
I use them all. The 2.1 is still my favorite putter. If I'm going to play a big tournament tomorrow, that's probably what I'm bringing. Did actually spend a really big chunk of the year. I found new love for the, or not new love, found love for the link. I never really spent a lot of time with the blade putter, and I've got one that I use for the season, and I'm starting to actually play pretty good again. It's been a pretty dry last 2 or 3 years, and then start with a new instructor, and on both putting and uh, Terry Rolls. You probably met Terry.
Yeah, I know Terry. Yeah.
Dude, Terry's the joint, and spent some time with him in New York. And then there's a fellow named Bruce Rierek, who's an exceptional putting instructor, and he sort of opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities on the greens. And so I'm working on some stuff, but I use them all. I mean, I'm a junkie at heart, and I mean, particularly during like prototyping season or whatever, anytime I'm going to play golf, I've got 4 putters in my bag.
I love it. Well, my friend, I'm very, 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 very happy for you guys. What a scene, man. What a wild scene.
It's a crazy
So
thing. And thank you, Johnny, for all the support over the years. We were kind of nobody from nowhere when you were at WRX, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to connect. And then, but even when you were at Callaway, man, I mean, you were so different than the other reps and folks associated, with the big companies out on tour. And like I have a hard time being out there, not so much anymore, but it used to just, people were just
that's
mean
weird.
and intense and whatever. And you were never that way. And you were always supportive of us. And I really appreciate it.
Well, I like seeing good people do cool things. So, Sammy boy, thank you for coming on Fully Equipped. This is my first emergency podcast for Fully Equipped. So, way to go. Here we are,
Right
52
on.
minutes. Thank you for your time. I know you got family stuff going on. So, you're the man. That is Sam Hahn with L.A.B. Boy just got his bag. I'm so happy for him. And that's a wrap.
Right on. Thanks, folks.